Welcome back to all of you. In the previous class, we have also discussed and understood one of the economic system, that is capitalism. Today, we will discuss the second economic system, that is socialism. Socialism has been originated in the backdrop of capitalism, meaning to say, it was against the exploitative attitude of capitalism. It was mainly developed by Karl Marx, and it was a movement originated. Later on, Karl Marx took the lead and brought a good shape for this movement and brought out this economic theory into the society. This theory of socialism has influenced a century of economic reforms, especially in Russia and presently in China. It is a big movement that has been happening. Karl Marx is a versatile personality. He was an historian, economist, philosopher, and even a sociologist, and so on and so forth. The socialism that he brought forth is an economic system that promised to remove all kinds of backdrops of capitalism or drawbacks of capitalism. So they wanted to remove inequalities of distribution of wealth and income, inequality of economic opportunity, unemployment, and also avoid wasting productive resources. These are the main four things they wanted to eradicate or remove in their socialistic principle. From here, for our exam, we will see the meaning. Next, we will see the characteristics. Later, we will see how do they solve the basic problems of economy, what are the merits and demerits. Finally, we will see a 4-mark question based on socialism or a central planned economy. First of all, we will see the meaning of socialism. Socialism is an economic system. It is an economic system where it resolves the basic problems of economy, in which scarce resources are commonly held by everyone, not individually. Here, the ownership of resources will not be in the hands of individuals, whereas in capitalism, the resources are owned by individuals. Here, it is owned by the common head, that is government. Common ownership does not mean that economic decisions are made collectively, meaning to say, all the economic decisions are not made by everyone. Here, the economic decisions are made by individuals, and individuals who are in position and in authority, they make economic decisions in the name of the entire population or the collective group. So, in the name of the group, a particular individual who has the power and authority makes the economic decision for the entire nation. That is what we see in China in nowadays. It is also called as a centrally planned economy. It is also called as centrally planned economy or it is also called as command economy. There is a one mark question that you would may get, that is, what are the other names of socialism or socialistic economy, that is central planned economy or command economy. From here we will move on to the characteristics of this socialism. As we have mentioned, the first point I would emphasize that all the economic activities in the economy are guided, regulated, and controlled by the central government rather than private business people. Here, the private business people have least control and least regulations. So, all the power to control economic activities are owned by the central government. Second, this economic system is based on the belief that the social welfare can be achieved only by the government. When government plays an active role in the working of the economy, who plays an active role? The government plays an active role in the working of the economy. What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Production, consumption, distribution. If government plays an active role in this, they can bring welfare. Who can bring? The central government can bring welfare. So they own, they operate. So who own? The government owns all the resources. If they operate economic activities, there will be economic welfare or social welfare. That is the belief of this economic system. Government takes decisions regarding what to produce, that is named as allocation of resources. How do they allocate resources? How do they decide what to produce? It is done based on predetermined goals and objectives to attain maximum social welfare. So they have already pre-decided goals. Every socialism has a pre-decided goal. The goal is maximum social welfare. That is the goal. In accordance with this goal, they make economic policies. Based on the economic policies, they allocate the resources. This is what the guiding principle of every problem to be solved. What is the guiding principle? The goals and objective, the common goal. What is the common goal? Attain maximum social welfare. The fourth one, the government makes all the decisions regarding production, price, wages, interest rates, income distribution, etc. Once again, it makes all the economic decisions. Some of them I have mentioned here. The production, what to produce, how to produce. Next, what prices the goods should be and what wages the individuals must get. What is the interest rate on capital, how the income should be distributed among the members of the society, etc., etc. If I say a lengthy of economic activities, the government decides. Government decides everything. Broadly, I can say it. What to produce and how to produce and what prices have to be fixed. So the government distributes all the goods through fair price shops. I can say it now itself. Later, you will get more details of it. Fifth one, in this economic system, greater emphasis is given on the quality of life. The economic system wants to improve the quality of life of the people, the health, the education system. They want to eliminate all kinds of poverty and inequality. So it's not based on the quantity of production. So the country does not focuses on the quantity of production. So under that, I'm going to point out 4 points for you. The production for social benefits. So they produce those goods and services which are important, necessary, are essential for the society. Even if there is a loss, they tend to produce those goods because they want to assure maximum social welfare. The loss of economic resources does not matter. For them, they want those goods which are very essential for their residents, meaning to say, goods and services will be produced preferably means what is needed for those residents who are suffering from hunger and starvation, even if it implies losses. Even if there is losses, production of these goods, they produce those goods which will incur loss and but promote social welfare. They produce those goods because they want to remove hunger, starvation, poverty. So, decisive role of economic planning. For that, the central government has a decisive plan to alleviate all kinds of inequality and remove social economic indifferences and bring socio-economic welfare. They have a decisive role of economic planning. Existence of public sector. Under socialism, only public sector exists. No private sector has the point of reference. Fourth, finally, social ownership of means of production. As I mentioned in the first point and as well as in the meaning, here the ownership of resources will be done or owned by the central government. Here the resources are not owned by any individuals. It is called as collective ownership or social ownership. What are the means of production? Land, labor, capital and organizations. These are called means of production. They are also known as factors of production. So the sixth point, what is the main motive? The main motive of capitalism, you should know, they want to maximize their profits. Here, this is not the motive. The major motive is produce those goods which are useful to the society and bring maximum socio-economic welfare. So profit maximization is not the major consideration, major motive, major motto of this economic system. Commodities here produced which are very useful to the society, that is the focus, and bring social welfare. Produce those goods which are required, which are essential. So they are not for produced goods for exports. So they adopt, so this is what to produce. The sixth and seventh point and the previous points are all mentioning about what to produce. The eighth point says how to produce. How to produce is decided by employing or adopting the best useful technique of production which are very essential to the economy. How? If economy has a massive unemployment, massive means great unemployment, the government follows labor intensive technique. If the population in the economy is less, the government go ahead with the capital intensive technique. Here, looking at the resources, the central government decides. Here, not the cost effective mechanisms are adopted. Remember, in capitalism, cost effective mechanisms or techniques are adopted in how to produce. In socialism, the most useful technique is adopted is whichever the resources are plenty, those techniques are used, either capital intensive or labor intensive. Looking at the available resources, the technique of production will be adopted in how to produce. So the problem of how to produce is being solved. The government focuses the resources on rapid economic development. The government focuses. What is a focus? What is the main thrust of the economy? What is the main objective of the economy is bring all its resources, bring all its resources to make the economy to develop very rapidly. Rapidly means fastly. So economy has to be developed very fastly. That is the main motive of it. But for that they bring all the resources into work. So all economy has to grow means, so there should not be any inequalities of income distribution. Resources has to be properly allocated. There should not be no wastage of resources. Proper utilization of resources or optimum utilization of resources. For all that economic growth has to happen means all the problems are solved in a best way. That is their main focus. So 10th one, avoid wasteful duplication of economic activities. Since the government controls all the factors of production as well as the production unit, there is no other entrepreneur who can produce a duplicate good and sell it. There is no room for duplication of any economic activities. So it is completely avoids wasteful duplication of economic activity. Protects the industries from foreign competition. Socialism is an economic system which protects the industries of their homeland. So socialism protects its home industries because all are owned by the government. Please imagine the major India in 1980s, major economic India of 1980s, most of the industries are owned by the public sector. Therefore, the government was putting a protection, avoid competition from the external forces. So they have a belief that if there is a competition, this leads to a big economic inequality in the society. For that, they avoid the entry of a foreign firm. That is what 11th point says. Protects the industries from foreign competition. In the socialism, a socialistic economy promises that their industries are protected by enlarging the tariffs and quotas on foreign goods as well as on foreign companies. The taxes or the tariffs will be increased. So that is a protection layer. So which are the countries are example for socialism? North Korea, Cuba, China, Vietnam. There are many other countries follow this socialistic economic system, but some of them have mentioned. This is also can be asked in the future for your general knowledge question. So one more point I want to mention from the point of view of exam. In this world, no economy is purely a capitalism or a socialism. There is no country in this world a purely socialism or capitalism. All the economies in this world is a mixed economies, except North Korea to a major extent. All are, except North Korea, all the countries are, majority countries are mixed economies, even China. But to a greater extent, it is a socialistic economy. Whereas America, it's not purely a capitalistic economy. It is also majority is a capitalistic economy. Whereas government interference is there in economic activities. Please remind you about that. Next one, what are the merits of socialism? Merits of socialism. First, it eliminates poverty. Since the government focuses on bringing social welfare, giving necessary food grains and employment opportunity for the lower section of the population, the poverty can be easily eliminated. Once there is a elimination of poverty, unemployment, and social inequalities, the entire economy comes to a stabilized condition. Stabilized means a proper order, that is called as stable environment. Economy is being stabilized. There is no fluctuation in the economy. There is no rising and falling. There is no any disturbance in economic growth. Everything has been planned and executed. Third one, opportunity for citizens to explore non-economic productive pursuits. So, socialistic economy gives a lot of thrust for the development of non-economic activities or productive activities in the field of sports, journalism, different non-economic activities can be employed in order to improve the improve the humanistic tendency. Socialism also encourages the non-economic activities such as spiritualism, religion, etc., etc. Not religious pursuit. Better products. Socialism promises to its people to give the best products in the world. Better salaries to its workers, it is another advantage, and fulfills the survival needs. Survival means basic needs. Socialistic economy makes sure that every individual of its country will be given the basic amenities called food, clothing, and shelter without fail. That's the main motive of this socialistic economy or command economy. Disadvantages. In spite of having many advantages, and this socialism came up, or socialistic economy came up against capitalistic economic ideals, socialism is not completely lacking demerits. It has many demerits. Since the power in this economy is completely centralized or held by a group of individuals or an individual, thus it leads to many demerits. Some of them are highly suffers from bureaucracy and suppression of economic democracy. What does it mean? Individuals have no freedom to participate in economic activities. For example, you are an individual who wants to start a factory of shoemaking. For you, the government does not encourage, because in your place, the government wants to start a tire factory. So, government does not give you a liberty. It is all the government decides, and you follow the rules and regulations of the government. So, the bureaucracy means the government officials. So, as government officials dictate, you follow. You have no liberty. Your liberty has been suppressed. Suppressed means it is completely made deteriorated. Self-suffering behavior minimize self-management. In this economy, what you want to produce, what you need to consume is having no freedom. What government produces, you need to eat. What government distributes, you need to eat. You can't bring goods from another country and consume, or you need not import from another country what you require. So the consumer needs has been completely governed by the government's rules. The government has no accountability to the people. Whatever the government says is a must. That is the third one, no accountability issues. Poor decision making. If the bureaucrats or the officials are not good, they are selfish, self-centered. So the decisions will be narrow-istic or selfist. Communication problem. So a lot of communication problem happens between the hierarchy as well as between the people to the government. What people wanted, what the people needs are not properly communicated to the government, and government what it thinks is not properly, may not be communicated to the people. And there is always a little shift and a dichotomy between the bureaucrats themselves. Slow technical advancement and inefficiency coordination, slow technical advancement. Socialism doesn't look for greatly as capitalism for technical advancement because they never look for cost effective. Shortage of some goods and excessive surplus of some other goods. Socialism has this weakness. They produce some goods excessively, means more goods will be produced which are not at all required, and there may be shortage of some other goods. It is said like, so more rotis are produced, less chutney is being produced. So people required a proportionate of roti and chutney in this economy. So people are hungry, give them more rotis, not the chutney, because without the chutney, roti does not feed the hungry completely. That is their attitude. One of the best example I try to give you. Next one, distorted price signals leads to unsatisfactory in distribution, leads to emergency of black market. Since there is no proper price mechanism, this leads to unsatisfactory distribution mechanism. So whoever wants those goods which will be having high demand, that is the main mechanism of the, so which goods the consumers wants, which should have a high demand, and the price should be also high. So which goods are less demanded, less wanted, those goods are less in demand and less in price, and they should be produced also less. So goods which are demanded more should be produced more, and price is an indicator for the producers as well as for the consumers. In this economy, the price is not a proper indicator. That is what. So it will lead to black marketing. One more thing I want to say about this black market. They produce those goods, some unnecessary goods surplus, and essential goods, what is required, they produce very, very less. So excessive of surplus goods, some goods, and there is a shortage of some other goods leads to black marketing. Black marketing means, so the goods are sold not legally in the market. So finally, reduced incentives. A person who has the more capability, more talent of hard working also is paid the same, given the reward the same, and he can take according to his needs. A person who is lazy but wants more can also take more. So actually the hard working and the efficient person is not properly given rewards. Rewards means incentives. See, hard working people should be given incentives. That is how the always humanistic tendency looks. Whoever is a brave and hard working should be rewarded. If they are neglected, their hard work has no value, means they will never take up a business of working hard. They will be lazy like most of us during COVID times. So hard working should be always rewarded. In socialism, such things have lesser scope. From there, we will move on to the basic problems, how the central government solves the basic problems of economy. What to produce? Already I have mentioned, government plays an active role. Who plays an active role? Government plays an active role in the working of the economy, who makes the working of the economy? The government makes. So how does it make? Government takes all the decisions, what to produce, what quantity, they decide. So therefore, according to that, they make allocation of resources in accordance with pre-decided goals or predetermined goals and objectives. What is a predetermined goal? Social welfare. They want social welfare. For that, they produce those goods and allocate resources according to it. How to produce? The government decides which goods are suitable, which technique is most suitable for the economy they employ, whether it is cost effective or less cost effective, whether it is utilized or technical advancement, they never focus on that. They focus only which resources is available in plenty, they utilize that. So they are adopt those technique of production which is most suitable to their economy, which brings socio-economic welfare than profit maximization. Thus, always I have said, if there is a massive unemployment in the population, they follow labor intensive. Vice versa. Whom to produce? The government makes decisions regarding what goods has to be distributed, who has to be distributed, and at what prices, and what prices has to be fixed. How the income should be distributed among the members, that also is. To purchase that goods, income has to be decided. So how income has to be distributed, that is also has been decided by the central government. So all the goods are distributed through fair price shops. The goods and services are distributed through fair price shops. The national income distribution also is done by the government once again. In this economy, greater emphasis again is given on the quality of life than the quantity of production. Again, we have a 4-mark question. Keep in mind, write a short note on central planned economy. So please learn this question answer. So far, what we have discussed. These are the 5 points you have. Afterwards, I have 10 points. So the 6th point has a sub points already we have discussed, and the 6th point is there. You can add one more point in the introduction one, that is the meaning. So these 10 points are quite sufficient. If you address these 10 points only for 4 marks, that is quite sufficient. You will get complete 4 marks out of 4. So write this question answer only in your notes and learn it. We will have soon an exam.